Hi guys, it's your best bud here, Danky Dan, bringing you another great episode of Roll Your Own the Series, sponsored by the boys at Maine Medical, where you can find, rate, and review medical cannabis providers in your area. So we're gonna be here with Dawson Julia, and we're gonna be talking a little bit about the importance of buying local, shopping local, and what all that has to do with our cannabis industry here in Maine, out-of-state competition, and our Maine way of life.
Hey everyone, I'm Dawson Julia, and I'm here to announce today we're at the Kennebec County Superior Courthouse to file a lawsuit and a preliminary injunction on the Commissioner of DAFs, which is responsible for the adult use marijuana program in Maine. The reason we're suing the state of Maine is simply because they are refusing to enforce the residency laws. It's been over almost 3 years, I guess, back and forth in Augusta trying to get the laws and the rules right. And in the end, one of the biggest things we fought for was these residency restrictions, and they just decided they're not going to enforce it because the fat cats on Wall Street have decided that they're going to use the legal system to try to flex their muscles and sue the state of Maine. So basically it's a big, it's a lawsuit shit festival is what it is. Our lawyer tells us we have a strong case. We feel confident that we're going to win this thing, and we're going to keep fighting until we either run out of money or we get the state to enforce the laws that we fought for as citizens of Maine. Just so everybody knows, my name is Dawson Julia. I represent the Maine Cannabis Coalition on Facebook. A lot of people follow that, and we go after everything marijuana related in Augusta. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how this program started in Maine, medical marijuana program in Maine, and how the licenses were issued. Now, the first thing that everybody needs to know, when we all voted on the ballot, on the original referendum, we were voting for unlimited dispensary storefronts. Everybody should have had a chance to file an application to get a store right from the beginning of this program back in 2010. But lobbyists, corrupt lobbyists, vampires is what I like to call them, blood-sucking vampires, came in and they took our rules and I took our laws and they manipulated them, and they convinced our lawmakers and our policymakers to put in this bullshit regulations that basically said there's only going to be 8 dispensaries in Maine. Out of those 8 licenses, 4 of them were issued to Wellness Connection. Now, here's the background story of how that went down. Becky, and I'm not going to use her last name because she's not affiliated with these guys anymore, but she was the original person that came here to work for this organization out of California. It was called the Northern Patients Alliance, I believe. Their mission was to get licenses, and Becky got those licenses. She actually got 4 of them. When those licenses were issued, they didn't end up going to the original investors. Basically, Becky and another crew set up shop and started this whole new thing. And that's how Wellness Connection was formed. So it was originally with Patricia Rossi and her husband Jacques. By the way, now it's the new CEO, from what I understand, is Ronald McDonald. And I kid you not, that's the new CEO of Wellness Connection. Patricia Rossi is no longer CEO. So the 4 licenses are issued. The new group has been set up. The old group is now suing Becky for the money that they invested, which they won the lawsuit, and you can Google that if you want to read about that. But now Wellness Connection is being built. And meanwhile, the other 4 licenses, 3 of them go to non-native Mainers. Only 1 guy out of the 8 licenses was originally from Maine, born and raised in Maine, and that guy got Fort Kent, which is up in the middle of nowhere. So that's kind of how the licenses were issued. That's part of the story. Now here's the other part of the story. There's a lady named Catherine Cobb who was the director of licensing and regulations for Maine. She also had an assistant, and they were in charge of scoring the applications for the dispensary, the 8 dispensary licenses. So there was this big blast of interest, and a lot of Maine people were investing their money and their savings and stuff so they could hopefully get one of those 8 licenses. About 90-something people applied for these dispensary licenses. Department of Health and Human Services gets all these applications. They're overwhelmed. They said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? They went back because they didn't think they had enough time to sufficiently go through and grade all the applications, and it was too much. So they went back to the table and they decided they were going to raise the price of the application fees, and they were going to send everybody back their original applications with their money and say, here's the new price. I wonder where they got that idea from. So anyways, the new price goes up. Now, instead of 90-something applicants, it's like 18 or 19 applicants apply for the second round. So out of those 18 or 19 licenses, They chose their 8. What they did was this lady, Catherine Cobb, was the person who was in charge of grading all those applications. We had a situation where after the licenses were done, being issued, and literally within a year, less than a year I think, her department comes under a review. Specifically, Catherine Cobb and her assistant is part of this internal review process. And they're looking into misconduct or anything like that. Now, I don't know the answers to what the reports were or what the investigation details were, but I can tell you that Catherine Cobb ended up resigning before that came public information. And so we're looking into that for the rest of that story. After Catherine Cobb resigned from the Department of Health and Human Services in the Licensing and Regulations Department, she went on to work for Wellness Connection, and where she still works today, as far as I understand, and she's been on the board now for multiple years, the board of directors. That was, I guess, essentially one of our first directors of our Maine Medical Marijuana program. And shortly after that, Marietta came along, who was another director of our Maine Medical Marijuana program back in 2015, 2016. So she left the department and she went to go work for Curaleaf, which is another Wall Street-owned dispensary that operates here in Maine. So you can see the trend and what's going on and why I call it license gate. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of pay-to-play bullshit. We've been watching it for the last 10 years and we're sick and tired of this bullshit. That's part of what suing the state is all about, and it's not just a cannabis issue. This has everything to do with every industry in the state of Maine that is being taken over by large corporations in Walmart-style techniques, let's call it. Well, after the license gate was complete, what happened was these guys went into monopolization mode, and they wanted to make sure that they own the industry here in Maine. Now that they had the 4 licenses, now they had to make sure that the caregivers didn't have the opportunity to be able to compete on any kind of a fair level. So they stacked the deck against us. And some of the ways they did that, some of you are familiar with the history of Maine. Before December 13th, 2018, the law said that it was a limit of 1 employee by law. Maximum of, even though we're paying payroll tax and everything, we got a law that says we can only hire 1 person. We had a maximum of 5 customers at any one time. Partnerships were illegal. Simple LLC with 2 or 3 partners, totally illegal. That's a co-op. We had a limit of how much product we could grow legally, 30 plants. 0% of out-of-state money was allowed to be invested into our businesses. So we have 100% residency law in this medical marijuana program. We had no caregiver to caregiver sales, which all those things held us back. We had $111 million worth of sales last year, in the first year that they were actually recording caregiver sales. The corporate money has been somehow overpowering the power of the caregivers and our voices. And that's ass backwards, because there's 3,000 of us strong in Maine. We pay, when you add up all the fees we're paying between our employees and our registration cards and everything, we're like 1.5, almost $2 million a year we contribute just in fees. We've been dealing with this shit for 10 years, and these idiots come down in the middle of a pandemic and act like, whoa, woe is me. I need my 100% out-of-state money invested into my adult use program in Maine, our adult use program. You know, let your friends, let your neighbors, let your family know. Keep it local. Keep it in Maine. Invest in the Maine people. You'll get the best products, I can guarantee you that. You'll make some good friends. They won't treat you like a number. And you know, at the end of the day, you'll feel good about what you're doing, and you're helping the entire state of Maine. You're helping our taxes go down. You're helping everything by keeping that money in Maine. So I can't express enough how important this is. The way we're going to beat this corruption stuff and this corporate, all this big money coming into Maine, is with people power, and we way outnumber them. And so we do not accept their tactics. We do not do business with them, and we call them out continually until they change their evil ways or they pack their bags and they get the hell out of Maine. What I want to say most importantly is this is not just a bunch of stoners getting together trying to, stir the shit bucket down in Augusta. This is a really serious thing going down in our industry right now, and it not only affects our industry, it affects all industries. Let's face it, we'd have paper mills in Maine flourishing had it not been for the corporate America shitheads who decided to move them all overseas and shit like that. So there's so many different branches of our government that are constantly getting infiltrated by these corrupt lobbyists. So let's all get together, and the way we can do that with this effort is, first of all, we have a Facebook page. It's called the Maine Cannabis Coalition. You can go there to follow what's going on with the latest cannabis things going on in Augusta. If you'd like to help our campaign, we have a GoFundMe account that all the funds go directly to our legal team, right to your elected officials. Everybody's got a senator and a representative, and we all have a governor. So feel free to voice your concerns and reach out to them. We appreciate all your efforts, and it's going to take the community to beat this thing, so we all need to work together. Please show your support any way you can. Share the video, help to donate, or just volunteer for the coalition, and we'll all we'll kick some ass together, and we can kick these guys out of town, or at least get them to work on a fair playing field. This is my friend Cynthia. She serves on the board, the Maine Cannabis Coalition, which is technically our fancy name is the United Cannabis Patients and Caregivers of Maine, but she's a board member with us, and she's also running for representative in District 112 in Maine, and she's kick-ass pro-cannabis, and one of her big missions is to make sure that we convert all these empty paper factories into hemp factories for hemp processing and hemp growth and production. We just want to talk about the big event we have June 19th. It's at all wellness locations in Maine. They currently have 4. A lot of people don't know, but they actually own the one up in Caribou too. They're what I understand is they're a majority holder up there, and they're in control of it anyways. But we're sticking to the 4 locations. We got Gardner, we got Brewer, we got South Portland, and Portland. So that's where we want to go. 12 noon is when it starts. It's June 19th again. That's a Friday. If you don't feel comfortable participating, drive by and honk your horn or something in support, you know. Or so if you can make it, we're gonna have some cool stuff going on. We're gonna give away an award for the person who has the coolest costume, the person who has the coolest sign, and the person who we're going to offer an award for anybody that has the coolest decorated car. So when you come, hopefully you can park somewhere close to where we're protesting, and you got a nice cool thing on your car that sends a message.
And post your video from your Wellness Connection demonstration.
Yes. Even if you can't show up in person, make a demonstration right in your house with your iPhone or something, you know. Do a selfie and stuff, and say your piece and say, I don't like this, and you know, and explain why, and post it right on the event page, or post it on your own social media. We all got to step up and protest. It doesn't matter if you can actually get down to that storefront location or not. We can all participate in our own kind of way. And above all, please stay active with all your elected officials. You've got a representative, a senator, and a governor. They all are elected officials that should answer to you, as well as your town municipality. And make sure they're staying cannabis friendly and they're well educated and understand the actual facts and laws and how we're getting screwed over by some of these corporate scumbags.
It's very important that the people of Maine learn to stand up for themselves and their rights. We've long been the workers in the paper mills and long been the sufferers of overtaxation and sending our people to war. It's time for our veterans to have free medical cannabis. It's time for the people of Maine to own those paper mills and turn those paper mills into hemp processing factories. It's time for the state of Maine to put their money where their mouth is. Give the people of Maine, give the rural people of Maine the unique opportunity to develop our natural resources in the hemp industrial processing world. There are ancillary businesses that should be developed and invested in by the state of Maine. No taxation without representation is not a fair way to develop people out of poverty.
Tell me she's not going to be a kick-ass representative. So what District 112, what towns is that?
District 112. It runs from Carabasset Valley, up where Sugarloaf is, all the way down to Carthage, Maine, to Weld. It runs through Phillips and Starks and Anson, where a lot of votes are. So there are many dispensaries and many caregivers in that network, and we'll be contacting all of you. Don't forget to vote on Flag Day.
I want to thank everybody that tuned in for this special episode of Roll Your Own the Series. I would like to thank Dawson Julia for everything that he's done for the cannabis industry, fighting tooth and nail for patients' rights, caregiver rights, and the rights of the Maine residents in general. I cannot stress enough, near and far, please shop local. There are a lot of caregivers out here that have put their life savings, their investment, their children's college money on the line to help people to be a part of this industry, and they depend on you to shop local. Know where your medicine is coming from, know who's handling your medicine, know where your money is going after you've spent it in the cannabis store. There are a lot of caregivers out here that are doing huge things for their community, whether that's Easter egg hunts, that's helping kids with school clothes and school supplies. So please do your research, shop local, support your local business, because they depend on you more than you can ever imagine. And if these people that are local are pushed out of this industry, that is going to affect the patient's price that they pay for their medicine. Thank you so much to Dawson Julia and all of the people in the cannabis industry that have been spearheading this thing, that have been up lobbying for your rights, because if it wasn't for them, who knows where we'd be.
Roll Your Own the Series is now filming our new season, and we want you to be on our show. If you're a caregiver, dispensary, garden supply store, or have a company related to the field of cannabis, we want you on our program. From East Coast CBDs, Fire Farms, to Hippie Chick Natural Solutions, Roots to Remedies, and many more, to bring you the best homegrown businesses and medicine Maine has to offer. Contact mainlymedicated@gmail.com or send us a message on Facebook to get rolling with Roll Your Own the Series today. Next time you're about to roll up to downtown Skowhegan, stop by Nuggies to see your best buds. Glass pieces, amazing flower, CBD products, and every 420 accessory for the plant lover in your life.
Hey everyone, this is Dawson Julia. This is my shop, East Coast CBDs. This is not an advertisement. Basically, what we're doing this little segment mini thing here to talk about cannabis products and how we want to make sure that all the storefronts in Maine are sourcing from local businesses in Maine. So anything you're selling that's got cannabis in it, whether it's hemp or whether it's THC or medical or adult use or whatever the hell you're going to be into, just make sure you're getting your stuff locally and don't get some of this Colorado hemp or the Chinese stuff or any of that stuff. And then what we're going to do in more segments coming up down the road is we're going to teach everybody how to help network together and keep this local strategy working for us. And we're always looking for more local products. So if you got a cool product, please reach out to me or my business page on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, and let us know about your products, because we definitely want to stock them.
Finding cannabis in your area is as easy as 1, 2 weed with Mainly Medicated. Mainly Medicated. Find, rate, and review cannabis providers near you. Visit mainlymedicated.com.